Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christopher Lubogo, and welcome to a discussion on sustainable, renewable, environmental law discussion. And I will begin with a quotation that amidst the fleeting winds of time and in the ceaseless flow of progress, the path of sustainable, renewable energy beckons as the righteous choice. It is the philosophy of harmony with nature, a covenant to preserve what they call the sanctity of the earth for generations yet unborn. And in the embrace of renewable energy, we find the alchemy of hope, the promise of balance, and the wisdom to tread lightly upon this fragile planet. For in choosing this path, we honor not only our existence, but the legacy we bequeath to the cosmos itself. And that's a quotation by myself. Find our books, Renewable Energy, at Lubogo.org and Suigeneris. So we need to convince ourselves in terms of investing what they call renewable energy as a way forward, and therefore becomes essential as a compelling discourse for purposes of addressing what they call potential concerns. And therefore my intention today is to make an advocacy for advancing Uganda's future in terms of renewable energy. Uganda basically stands at a critical juncture in its path to what they call sustainable development. So in order to unlock Uganda's full potential and ensure what they call a prosperous and environmentally responsible future, it is important to adopt renewable energy, not just as a choice, but as a question of necessity. So in my discourse, I will outline some of the compelling discussions that can enable Uganda to embrace renewable energy as a cornerstone in terms of its energy strategy. First of all, why do we need it as a question of importance? It will enable energy access for all, especially Uganda's rural areas suffer from energy poverty. So renewable energy can provide an off-grid and decentralized solution in ensuring that every Ugandan has access to clean and reliable electricity. Also in terms of environmental stewardship, as we transition or as we cause our country to transition in terms of renewable energy, it is important to address issues that have to do with air pollution and carbon emissions. And in doing that, we shall help our environmental commitments in terms of improving air quality and also combat climate change. Another aspect is in terms of economic prosperity. Renewable energy would actually help to offer, job creation opportunities across the so-called value chain, from manufacturing to installation, maintenance, and even research. And it will stimulate local economies in terms of reducing unemployment. Another advantage why I make a discourse for renewable energy is in terms of energy dependency, or perhaps energy independence. It would be better that way. By harnessing the abundant solar, wind, and hydro and biomass resources, Uganda can reduce its dependency on imported fossils in terms of enhancing energy security and stabilizing energy prices. And then another aspect in terms of affordable and sustainable energy. Renewable energy technologies like solar and wind have experienced significant cost reductions, and therefore making them economically competitive and providing what they call a long-term cost-saving effect. Another advantage would be in terms of rural development. Renewable energy projects can actually serve as a catalyst in terms of rural development, providing what they call energy for agriculture, education, healthcare, and even local industries, ultimately improving the quality of life of rural citizens or rural areas for that purpose. And then in terms of global standings, when we embrace renewable energy, it will help us to align with international commitments and demonstrate and create a demonstrational effect in terms of dedication to what they call global sustainability goals, enhancing our international obligation in terms of reputation and also in terms of partnership. Also, by way of importance, in terms of technological advancement, it's important when we invest in renewable energy, it will encourage technology transfer, innovation, and knowledge sharing, and therefore fostering what they call a skilled workforce in driving economic growth. And then another advantage will be in terms of long-term viability. Renewable energy sources are sustainable all over in terms of creating a long-term effect, in terms of ensuring stable and reliable energy supply to present our challenges that we have today, but also to fight future challenges in terms of future prospects for our future generations. So there's no doubt that Uganda's commitment to renewable energy shouldn't be merely an environmental gesture. It should be an investment in terms of the future. By transitioning to clean energy sources, Uganda can actually achieve energy access for all and protect our citizens in terms of stimulating economic growth and also gain of international or energy independence. And therefore, a shift is not just a choice, it's a responsibility to current and future generations. It's a path to a brighter and more sustainable future for Uganda. And therefore, my urge to government also perhaps would be in terms of the private sector, in terms of civil society, to create a collaboration, to closely interact in order to create an endeavor working towards a future where Ugandans can harness energy met through clean, affordable and sustainable resources, and ensuring prosperity and environmental preservation and social well-being for all Ugandans. So the intention of my submission today is to emphasize, and as I said, but also to create compelling reasons why renewable energy should be the driving force behind Uganda's future energy strategy, making a strong case for its adoption. And there is no way that we can have shortcuts when it comes to sustainable renewable energy. But for starters, sustainable renewable energy would refer to the generation of electricity, for example, or heat from sources that are naturally replenished and have a minimum environmental impact. And these sources include solar power, wind energy, hydropower, geothermal energy, and even biomass. And so we'll discuss a little bit of those and make a case for Uganda. As I said, in as far as Uganda is concerned, it will help us in as far as environmental benefits. Sustainable renewable energy sources will produce little or even no greenhouse gas emissions, reducing Uganda's carbon footprint and also mitigating what they call climate change. So this has to protect the environment and preserve Uganda's natural beauty in terms of biodiversity. In terms of another advantage for Uganda, it will help us in terms of energy access. Uganda faces challenges in providing consistent electricity, especially in rural areas. So renewable energy technologies can actually be deployed quickly in off-grid regions, extending energy access to all Ugandans. As another advantage, it would help in terms of what they call energy security. When we rely on imported fossil fuels, it can lead to economic vulnerabilities. I know we have oil, but still that it can be depleted over time. But by harnessing its own renewable resources, Uganda can enhance energy security and reduce dependence on external sources and even stabilize energy prices. Again, when it comes to job creation, that's another area. Renewable energy sector can actually generate employment opportunities, from manufacturing solar panels, for example, to installing wind turbines and even maintaining clean energy infrastructure. So this can boost local economies and reduce unemployment. Another advantage would be in terms of cost effectiveness. Over time, I will argue that renewable energy technologies often become more cost effective than these so-called fossil fuels, particularly when considering the long-term benefits of reduced health costs, care costs in terms of environmental damage. And then obviously, as a question of rural development, there is no doubt that renewable energy projects can actually stimulate economic growth in these rural areas where many resources are actually abundant. And this can help alleviate poverty and even improve our living standards in terms of these communities. Another advantage in terms of sustainable agriculture. When we're talking about renewable energy, then access to renewable energy can actually support modern farming practices through, for example, irrigation systems and even machinery, and help contribute to what they call increased agricultural productivity and food security. And then another advantage will be in terms of our international commitments. No doubt that Uganda is a signatory to international agreements, for example, like the Paris Agreement, which emphasizes reducing carbon emissions, and therefore transitioning in terms of renewable energy will align these commitments and also enhance Uganda's global standing. Another would be in terms of technological advancement. If we talk about that, by embracing renewable energy, it encourages what they call innovation and technological transfer, and therefore we shall be able to foster the development of a skilled workforce and also promote knowledge sharing. Another advantage will be in terms of long-term viability. Under this, we are basically arguing and saying that renewable energy sources like solar, like wind, like hydropower are sustainable over a long period of time, and therefore by ensuring stable and reliable energy supply for the future generations, when we harness these, they will guarantee that as a question of importance. So there is no doubt that sustainable renewable energy is not only an environmentally responsible choice, but also a pragmatic and economically beneficial path for Uganda's future. So by investing in these clean energies, Uganda can improve its energy access, it can protect the environment, it can create jobs, it can also engage in a secure and more resilient and prosperous future for its people. So we need to align our global sustainability goals to reflect a commitment in terms of responsible and forward-thinking energy policy. So there are quite a number of renewable energy sources in the world. I'll try to discuss some of them in terms of their uniqueness and in terms of their benefits, so that we can understand and comprehend that we are not far from the truth. We are not far from harnessing them. Number one, solar energy. What's the benefit of solar energy? Solar energy harnesses power from the sun using what they call photovoltaics, what they call PV cells or solar thermal systems, and they include abundant. The fact that we have abundant resource, especially in these sunny regions, then the aspect of no greenhouse effect in terms of emissions during these energy generations. We can deploy it both in terms of large scale by using these large solar panels, also small rooftop installations. It is even low in terms of maintenance, and yet it has even a long span. Another, in terms of energy, would be wind energy. In terms of benefits, wind turbines help convert what they call kinetic energy from wind into electricity. Its benefits include clean and renewable source as an energy, and sustainable for various locations, including offshore and onshore wind farms. It is even low in terms of operational costs even after installation, and it also reduces reliance on fossils as an emission in terms of an advantage. Another is hydropower, which probably we know very well here. Hydropower harnesses the energy of flowing water to generate electricity. As a benefit, it includes it is reliable and is consistent as an energy source. It's low operating in terms of cost, and it has also a long span effect in terms of hydroelectric plants, and it can provide base load power, or even what they call load flowing power. It helps manage water resources and even control flooding. Another source of energy would be geothermal energy. All these are different types of energies that we can harness as a country. Geothermal basically energy, it taps into the heat from what they call the Earth's core to produce electricity and heat. Its benefit will include things like low greenhouse emissions, and its high energy efficiency and reliability. It's even available 24/7, making it suitable for baseload power. And it's minimal in terms of land use compared to some other renewable sources. Another advantage that we can harness as a country would be biomass energy. As a benefit, biomass would engage what they call organic materials like wood or even crop residues and waste to produce heat, electricity, and biofuels. Its benefit would include a utilization of what they call organic waste materials, reducing landfill usage. And we can provide what they call dispatchable energy through bioenergy with carbon capture and even storage. It would help in terms of supporting sustainable forestry and even agricultural practices as well. So that's another energy source that we can harness. Another would be what they call the ocean energy. I know we're not near oceans, but we can take advantage of that through the water we have. Ocean energy includes what they call tidal, even wave, and even ocean thermal energy would include as a benefit predictable and reliable energy resources and low greenhouse gas emissions. It is important in terms of potential for continuous energy generations in especially coastal areas. Perhaps countries like Kenya can take advantage of that, and it will contribute in terms of energy diversification. The best we can take advantage of our Lake Victoria, perhaps, in terms of that. But then another energy source would be biofuels. Biofuels such as biodiesel and even ethanol that are derived from organic materials and can replace what they call fossil fuels in transportation. Its benefit would include reduction in terms of carbon emissions compared to conventional gasoline or even diesel. And it can also help in terms of support for agriculture and rural economies. It can help in terms of energy security through domestic and fuel production. and it is compatible with existing infrastructure, so that can be harnessed easily. Another advantage or another strength would be in terms of wind and solar hybrid systems. As a benefit, when you combine wind and solar, these systems will offer advantages such as smoothing out energy generation fluctuations and even increase capacity factor and improving energy reliability. So we could use it as an efficient in terms of land and grid infrastructure. Another advantage would be in terms of what they call microgrids and distributed energy resources. Microgrids and distributed energy resources as an energy source, as a benefit, would help integrating various renewable sources to microgrids and distributed energy sources in terms of enhancing resiliency, reliability, and also efficiency of local energy systems and reducing reliance on centralized grids, as it were. And then waste to energy. As an advantage, waste to energy technologies will help convert multiple solid waste into electricity or heat, reducing landfills waste and also producing renewable energy. So basically, each type of sustainable renewable energy offers unique benefits, including, as I said, reduced ground or greenhouse gas emissions, reliable and clean energy generations, job creations, and energy security. So the choice of which source to implement often depends on the local resource availability in terms of energy need, but also in terms of environmental considerations. And sometimes combining reliable renewable resources and integrating them into diverse energy portfolio can actually maximize the benefit while addressing energy and environmental challenges. We could also argue some other types of sustainable renewable energy sources that Uganda can harness, and one of them could be what they call concentrated solar power, which some people refer to as CSP. As a benefit, CSP systems use mirrors or lenses to concentrate sunlight into small area and generating what they call high temperature heat to produce electricity. As a benefit, it will include energy storage capabilities as a potential for continuous power generation. And then there's what they call offshore wind energy. Again, I would argue that in terms of the lake that we have, offshore wind, in the sense that we can have what they call offshore wind farms that harness strong and consistent winds at the sea or the lake. In terms of benefit, they will include ample space and also less visual impact and potentially higher energy generation compared to onshore wind. And then we could also argue in terms of small hydropowers. I was quite amazed when I was in Germany. I could see small hydropower systems that we could harness, and we could argue that they could be sustainable for small rivers, streams, that they can provide electricity for generation with minimum environmental impact. And then there's what we call algae biofuel. As a benefit, algae can actually be grown to produce biofuels such as biodiesel and even bioethanol by offering what they call a renewable alternative to traditional fossil fuels with lower greenhouse gas emissions. And then there's what they call piezoelectric energy. Piezoelectric energy. As a benefit, piezoelectric materials generate what they call electricity when subjected to mechanical stress, such as vibrations or even pressure. So making them sustainable for applications like energy harvesting from even footsteps or even vehicle traffic can be used as a way of harnessing energy. These are future and very reliable energy bases. Then there's what they call thermoelectric energy. As a benefit, for thermoelectric energy, materials can actually be used to convert heat differentials into electricity, potentially harnessing waste heat from industrial processes to generate a clean energy. Then we could also talk about things to do with solar water heating, for example. Solar water heating systems can actually be used as the sun's energy to heat water for residential and even industrial purposes. And this can help reduce the need of electricity or even gas in terms of heating. And another energy source that we think we can capture is what they call municipal solid waste recycling. As a benefit, recycling of municipal solid waste not only reduces landfill usage, but also are used to recover energy through waste to energy processes, producing both electricity and heat. And then another one that we could also harness is what they call wind solar hybrid systems. As a benefit, it can be useful in terms of combining wind and solar energy, and sources in hybrid systems can actually optimize energy generation by utilizing both day and night resources, and therefore improving the overall efficiency. And then another important one could also that Uganda could harness is what they call the green hydrogen production. Renewable energy sources can actually be used to produce what they call green hydrogen through what they call electrolysis, and by offering clean energy carriers, for example, for various applications, including transportation and industrial processes. When I was in Germany, I saw a hydrogen-powered vehicle, and therefore I can bear witness that some of the things are already being done. So the choice, again, as I said, for which you utilize this energy source depends on your local conditions, and also on the energy demand, and also on the sustainability goals. And it's important that Uganda takes a step in terms of harnessing that. When you look at our book, Sustainable Environmental Law in Uganda, by Isaac Christopher Lubogo, readily available at Lubogo, Suigeneris, you can be able to harness some of these and understand what we're talking about. As I said, in terms of advantages, renewable, sustainable energy has environmental benefits, no doubt about that. Reduced greenhouse in terms of gas emissions. Renewable energy sources produce little or at no greenhouse effects in terms of energy generation, and they are very important in terms of mitigating climate change and reducing environmental impact on energy production. They are very good in terms of improving air quality. Unlike fossil fuels, renewables do not emit harmful pollutants such as sulfur dioxide, for example, or nitrogen oxides, and therefore they contribute to a better air quality in terms of human health. And the conservation of resources, renewables like solar and wind and even hydropower harness what they call naturally replenished resources, reducing the depletion of finite fossil fuels reserves and therefore preserving our ecosystem. And also, as another great advantage would be, as I said, energy security. When you diversification of energy resources, renewable energy diversifies what they call the energy mix. It helps in terms of reducing dependency on a single energy source or even foreign fossil fuel imports, and thus enhancing energy security. They are stable in terms of energy prices. Renewable energy sources often have a stable and predictable operating costs. They help to stabilize the energy prices and even reduce vulnerability in terms of fossil fuel and price fluctuations. And then they're also important in the sense that they have economic benefit by creating jobs. These renewable energy sector create jobs in manufacturing, in installation, in maintenance, and in research, and in stimulating what they call local economies and reducing unemployment. So they're also helpful in terms of local energy production. Most of them, in terms of they can support local energy production and reducing the need for costly infrastructure in terms of transport energy over long distances, for example. And also they are quite resource abundant in a sense that renewable energy sources such as sunlight and wind are abundant and widely distributed, reducing energy scarcity concerns and even promoting access to energy for all. In terms of another advantage, they also provide what they call long-term viability. So these renewables are sustainable over a long term, ensuring stable and even reliable energy supply for future generations. In terms of technological advancement, perhaps that's another thing. Innovation and development. Embracing these renewable energy can help us foster what they call innovation, technological transfer, and even knowledge sharing. By driving what they call advancements in the energy sector and related industries. And then there's an aspect in terms of reduced reliance on limited resources. These renewables help us in terms of they don't rely on finite and depleting fossil fuel reserves, and therefore reducing the risk of resource scarcity. So all those are advantages. Think about what Uganda can benefit as a country. In terms of energy access and reliability, these renewables, especially in the form of distributed energy resources, can actually provide a reliable electricity in terms of access to remote or off-grid areas, improving the quality of life for underdeserved populations, for example. And then there's also what they call grid stability. In terms of some renewable energy sources like hydropower and even geothermal, offer what they call grid stability benefits, aiding the integration of intermittent renewables like wind and even solar. In terms of global commitments, also as an argument, someone can argue that they help us meet international agreements, and therefore transitioning this renewable energy will align with what they call international commitments to reduce carbon emissions, and they also help countries to meet their climate goals, such as those outlined in the Paris Agreement. Not so. We will argue also in terms of minimal environmental impact. There is no doubt that because of the low land use, many renewable energy technologies have actually relatively small land footprint compared to fossil fuel extraction and large-scale mining operations. Perhaps this is something we should think about more than even the focus that we have on the oil that we are claiming to begin, exploring in the Graben Albertine. In terms of reduced water consumption, unlike fossil fuels, water plants, most renewable energy sources have low water consumption, reducing strain on water resources. So again, I'll make the argument that sustainable renewable energy sources offer numerous advantages over fossil fuels like oil and non-renewable sources. So ranging from environmental benefits and energy security to economic growth and even technological advancement. When we embrace these sources, it is essential, my friend, for achieving what they call a sustainable and resilient energy future while addressing these challenges in terms of climate change and in terms of energy access. So it's extremely important. So again, as a case for Uganda, determining the best form of renewable energy for Uganda depends on the various forms, as I said, including the country's specific energy needs. So resource availability in terms of sustainability, in terms of the goal, Uganda has a diverse range of renewable energy sources. So perhaps a combination of these several types may also be important in terms of providing an effective approach. I'll give certain advantages that Uganda can harness. I would argue and say hydropower would be a #1 step for Uganda. Uganda has an abundant water resources, making hydropower a viable option. In terms of large-scale hydroelectric projects like Bujagali, perhaps, and Isimba dams, already those have generated and been developed. But smaller scale hydro projects could also offer, or in terms of a better exploit in terms of an energy resource. So we are saying, much as we have the big ones, let's harness the small ones as well. 2, solar energy. Uganda receives ample sunshine throughout the year, making solar energy a highly sustainable option, especially in rural areas and off-grid areas. Solar panels can actually be deployed on rooftops, in small-scale installations, or even in large solar farms. No doubt about that. Another advantage, wind energy for purposes of Uganda. Wind resources are favorable in certain regions of Uganda, such as the eastern and northern areas, where wind turbines could actually employ for both onshore and even potentially offshore projects. And then another advantage for Uganda in terms of strategy would be biomass energy. Biomass from agricultural residues, such as crop wastes and even forestry residues, can actually be used for bioenergy production. Uganda's agriculture sector generates ample biomass resources for this purpose. So Uganda can harness that. Another would be in terms of geothermal energy. Uganda has geothermal potential in regions, for example, like the Western Rift Valley, where geothermal power plants could actually harness the Earth's natural heat for electricity generation. And then the use of small hydropower. I made that argument before, but for purposes of emphasis, I was in Germany and I could see small hydropower energies that could serve almost cities. So, smaller scale hydropower projects, often referred to as what they call micro or mini hydropower, can provide decentralized energy solutions in these remote areas and communities. So the best form of renewable energy for Uganda should actually be determined through a comprehensive assessment that considers some of the factors. As I said, one of the most important factors is resource availability. Evaluate the abundance and the consistency of each renewable energy in terms of resource in the different regions of our country. Number 2, in terms of the energy need, consider the energy demands of residential, commercial, industrial, and even agricultural sector, so that we determine which sources can meet these needs effectively. Another is obviously in terms of environmental impact. We need to assess the environmental impact and sustainability of each energy source, including potential effects on the ecosystem in terms of water resources, but also in terms of the air quality. Another, also concentrate on infrastructure and grid integration. Okay, we need to examine our existing energy infrastructure and the feasibility of integrating renewable sources into the national grid. And then obviously the argument in terms of economic viability. We need to analyze the economic feasibility, including factors like installation costs, maintenance, and even long-term operational expenses. That is extremely important. Another is in terms of community engagement. We need to involve local communities and stakeholders in terms of decision-making processes to ensure social acceptance and even support. So it's important, my friends, that we harness these areas. I think the way to go for Uganda is renewable, sustainable, environmental discourses or energy harnessing for that purpose. So Uganda, given Uganda's resource diversity, a mix of renewable energy sources may actually be the most effective in terms of an approach. This strategy will provide energy security, it will reduce environmental impact, and also support economic growth. So when we address our country's energy needs, we can be able to, to help our country engage in the most sustainable renewable energy mix for our country. So as I said, each has its own advantages, each has its challenges that need to be considered. I will give some disadvantages that are associated with certain renewable energy sources so that we can know what would be best for our country. When you're arguing in terms of hydropower, you could argue that it will have environmental impacts in terms of large-scale hydropower projects that have significant environmental impacts, including habitat disruptions or even altered river ecosystems and the displacement of communities. In terms of climate vulnerability, we could argue that hydropower generation, for example, can be affected by changing weather patterns and including droughts, which can actually reduce water flow and energy production. That is perhaps as a disadvantage in terms of hydropower. In terms of solar, it could be what they call intermittency, in terms of the argument that solar energy generation is dependent on sunlight, and therefore making intermittent in the sense that it can be challenging to provide a stable energy supply without energy storage solutions. Perhaps also in terms of land use, in terms of large-scale solar farms, they can require extensive land, potentially impacting agriculture and even natural habitats. But we can comprehend and analyze these. That shouldn't be a problem, but I'm just giving you some of the disadvantages. In terms of wind energy, it could have what they call visual and noise impact. Wind turbines can actually be seen as visually intrusive in some landscapes, and they actually may generate noises that can affect nearby communities. In terms of intermittency, like solar energy, wind energy is intermittent, requiring energy storage and backup sources for consistent power supply. But if we harness those disadvantages, then we can see how we can blend and have a better supply. In terms of biomass energy, biomass could have aspects in terms of emissions. Biomass combustion can release air pollutants and carbon dioxide, particularly if not managed properly, and may not be entirely carbon neutral in terms of practice. In terms of resource availability, the availability of biomass resources can actually vary seasonally and even regionally, affecting what they call energy reliability. If you're to argue in terms of geothermal energy, this could have a challenge in terms of specific location specific, in terms of geothermal sources that are, they're location specific in the sense that they may not be accessible everywhere. So developing geothermal plants may require drilling deep wells, which can actually be expensive. In terms of ocean energy, no doubt, as an environmental impact, ocean energy technologies can actually impact marine ecosystems and even pose challenges related to installation and maintenance and even corrosion in the harsh marine environment, notwithstanding the fact that Uganda is almost landlocked, aside from the fact that we have Lake Victoria on our shores. In terms of energy transport, transmitting energy generated at sea or even offshore grids can actually be technically complex and even extremely costly. When you're arguing in terms of biofuels, you could argue it in terms of competition with food production. The argument here is that the production of biofuels from food crops can actually compete with food production, potentially driving up what they call food prices. And when you're arguing in terms of land use change, then converting land for biofuel crop cultivation may lead to deforestation and even habitat loss. So that could also be argued as a disadvantage in that concept. If you're arguing in terms of waste to energy as an emission, waste what they call waste incineration can actually release pollutants and also greenhouse gases. Through modern waste energy facilities, they can be designed to mitigate these emissions to avoid that challenge. In terms of waste management, relying on waste to energy can discourage recycling and even waste reduction efforts as a disadvantage. I know I talked about what they call piezoelectric and thermoelectric energy, which could provide low energy yield. So these technologies generate relatively small amounts of electricity and are limited by availability in terms of mechanical stress or temperature differentials. Then if you argue in terms of green hydrogen production, in terms of energy intensive electrolysis for green hydrogen production can actually be energy intensive and cost effective in terms of producing hydrogen from renewable sources, which is still being developed even as we speak today. So it's important to note that these disadvantages of renewable energy sources are often context specific and can be mitigated with proper planning in terms of technological advancement, in terms of regulatory measures. So the choice of which renewable energy source can be deployed should actually consider, as I said, the local environment, the energy need, and sustainability goals while addressing those certain challenges as we argued. I would give some countries in terms of examples or regions where specific renewable energy sources are best practiced as a benchmark, along with empirical evidence in terms of their success. If you are to argue in terms of solar energy, for example, Germany probably takes the lion's share. Empirical evidence as far as Germany has been a leader in solar energy adoption. I give an example. In 2020, for example, Germany had over 53 GW of installed solar capacity, generating about 50.8 tons of electricity, in terms of which was about 10.4% of energy consumption. So that was quite successful in terms of providing favorable policies and widespread solar panel installations that encourage the harnessing of this energy. In terms of wind energy, Denmark probably has the lion's share. In terms of empirical evidence, Denmark is a global leader in wind energy. In, for example, 2020, wind power provided about 40% of Denmark's total electricity consumption. The country's success is due to long-term commitment in terms of wind energy, research, and also supportive regulatory framework. In terms of hydropower, Norway perhaps takes the lion's share. Empirical evidence, Norway has abundant hydropower resources, and in 2020, it was argued that hydropower provided about 95% of the country's electricity. So Norway's success in hydropower is the result of consistent investment in infrastructure and a strong focus on sustainability. In terms of geothermal energy, Iceland probably has the lion's share. Empirical evidence in terms of Iceland utilizes its abundant geothermal resources for electricity and heating. Geothermal energy provides about 25% of Iceland's electricity, and over 90% of buildings in, for example, Reykjavik are heated with geothermal energy. So Iceland's success is due to the unique geological conditions and investment in geothermal infrastructure. In terms of biomass energy, Sweden probably has a lion's share here, and empirical evidence shows that Sweden is a leader in biomass energy use. Biomass provides about 8% of Sweden's solar energy consumption, and Sweden's success is attributed to a well-developed district heating system, combined heat and even power plants, and efficient biomass utilization. In terms of wind and solar hybrid systems, India could also have a lion's share here. Empirical evidence in terms of India has been actively investigating wind and solar hybrid projects to balance energy generations. For example, what they call the Antapar hybrid park in Andhra Pradesh combines wind and solar energy generation, and has been successful in improving grid stability and also energy supply in that particular region. When you're arguing in terms of ocean energy, Scotland probably has a lion's share here, and empirical evidence shows that Scotland is actively developing what they call wave and tidal energy projects. And the European Marine Energy Centre, for example, in Orkney, has actually been a testing ground for ocean energy technologies. And Scotland's success is driven by its commitment to marine energy, research, and even development. In terms of biofuels, for example, Brazil probably has a lion's share here. In terms of empirical evidence, Brazil is a global leader in terms of biofuel production, particularly in terms of sugarcane-based ethanol. A good point is that in 2019, for example, biofuels accounted for over 50% of Brazil's total energy consumption in the transport sector. So Brazil's success is due to favorable policies and a well-established biofuel industry. In terms of waste to energy, Sweden again comes into play. Empirical evidence shows that Sweden's efficiency utilization of waste to energy facilities, over 2 million tons of household waste are actually burned annually in Sweden waste to energy plants, producing heat and electricity, and the success is attributed to effective waste management and energy recovery practices. In terms of green hydrogen production, Austria probably has the lion's share here. empirical evidence in terms of that. Austria is basically engaged in investing in terms of green hydrogen production. It has utilized vast solar and even wind sources. Projects like Western Green Energy Hub, which aim to produce green hydrogen at a high scale. So while in its early stages, this demonstrates the country's commitment in terms of hydrogen as a clean energy carrier. So those examples basically will illustrate certain successes in terms of renewable energy sources that often result from a combination of natural resource availability. When we have supportive policies in terms of investment, in terms of infrastructure, and long-term commitments in terms of sustainability goals, each region's success story can actually provide valuable insight into these other countries as benchmarks, as I just told you. So Uganda can successfully co-opt and adapt renewable energy sources by following strategic and phased approach. And in terms of roadmap, I would give a roadmap for Uganda is the ability of how Uganda can integrate these renewables into its energy mix. Number one, Uganda needs to conduct a comprehensive resource assessment. In other words, assess Uganda's renewable energy potential, including solar, wind, hydropower, geothermal, biomass resources. This data will guide resource allocation. Number two, Uganda needs to develop favorable policies and regulations. In other words, establish supportive policies, incentives, and even regulatory frameworks in terms of encouraging renewable energy investment, including feed-in tariffs and even tax incentives, and also streamline permitting processes. Number three, Uganda needs to invest in research and development. This is something that we do. We've written books on climate change, on waste management, on renewable energy, on environmental law, on oil and gas. So we need to allocate funds in terms of resource and development, okay, in renewable energy technologies, focusing on adaptation of local conditions and improving energy storage solutions. Number four, promote public awareness and education. We need to launch public awareness in terms of campaigns to educate citizens, in terms of businesses and also policymakers on the benefits of renewable energy and its role in sustainability and energy access. It's extremely important. Number five, encourage private sector participation. We need to encourage opportunities for private sector involvement through public-private partnership, okay, and also incentives and financing mechanisms to drive what they call investment in terms of renewable energy projects. Number six, we need to develop a national renewable energy strategy. In other words, we need to formulate a clear and comprehensive national renewable energy strategy that outlines targets, timelines, and even measures for adopting various renewable energy sources. Number seven, we need to establish training and capacity building programs. How do we do this? We better do this by simply doing the following. Number one, invest in training programs to develop a skilled workforce in renewable energy technology, in terms of installation, in terms of operation, also in terms of maintenance. And then number eight, we need to implement what they call pilot projects. In other words, initiate pilot projects in different regions to demonstrate the feasibility and the benefits of various renewable energy technologies. Use these pilots to gather empirical data. Look at that as a question of importance. Number nine, we need to talk about what we call grid integration and also energy storage. When we upgrade the national grid to accommodate what they call intermittent energy sources like solar and wind, then we shall be able to invest in energy storage solutions such as batteries to ensure a stable power supply. And then number 10, something again that Uganda can do is support off-grid and rural electrification. Okay, in other words, we need to prioritize off-grid and rural electrification projects, deploying decentralized renewable energy systems like mini-grids and stand-alone solar solutions to extend energy access. Number 11, we need to foster innovation and technology transfer. How do we do that? By encouraging technology transfer through partnership with countries and organizations that are experienced in renewable energy development. We need to have support local innovation in renewable energy solutions. That would get us there. And then number 12, we need to monitor progress and even adjust policies. We have to do this continuously by monitoring the progress of renewable energy adaptation, regularly review our policies, and also adjust strategies based on outcomes and changing circumstances. Number 13, this is free advice. The ministry can take some of these as benchmarks. The ministry can invite some of us as experts in research to give them some of these guidelines. I was arguing with a friend in Germany that if we can be given opportunities, sponsor us, go and benchmark for you, come back, give you substantive solutions. We need to collaborate with international organizations, seek partnership in terms of financial support from international organizations and donors that promote renewable energy projects and sustainability. We need to ensure social inclusion, ensure that renewable energy projects prioritize social inclusion, address gender disparities, and also engage with local communities to gain their support. Okay? We need to talk about a commitment to sustainability and environmental protection. Okay, you need to adapt sustainable practices in terms of renewable energy development, considering environmental impacts and even conservation efforts. All these are possible, my friends. We can get our country, we have so blessed with these things, and we can harness and become a superpower in our own sense. We need to build resilience in terms of climate change, leverage renewable energy to build resiliency to climate change impacts, such as using solar power for power pumping and even irrigation in agriculture. These are all tenable. We need to evaluate our economic viability. We need to assess the economic viability of renewable energy projects, considering factors, factors like return on investment, job creation, and even long-term cost savings. Okay? We need also to establish monitoring and evaluation mechanisms. How do you do that? Implement robust monitoring and evaluation mechanism to track the performance of renewable energy projects and ensure that they align with national goals. All these things are possible. As I said, as a country blessed by nature that we claim, we have the potential to become one of the best, beautiful countries. I had opportunities of staying in Europe. I refused because I'm not a coward. I said, let me go back home, give these ideas to my people, give these ideas to the president. Mr. President, if you're hearing, we are here, ready to do the work for you. We co-opt, adapt these renewable energy sources, provide clean and sustainable energy for our citizens while contributing to environmental protection in terms of economic growth. So the future, in terms of the best forms of renewable energy for Uganda, will likely be those that can align with the country's unique strengths and challenges. So given Uganda's abundant renewable energy resource, a combination, as I said, of these various sources is likely to be the most effective approach, and we can strike that as a country. Okay? In terms of conclusion, I think solar energy is the way to go. Why? Uganda, as I said, enjoys consistent sunshine throughout the year, making solar energy reliable, abundant. Solar panels can actually be deployed in both urban and rural areas, providing decentralized energy solutions. In terms of future outlook, solar energy is expected to continue its growth in the world, but also, how about it take bearing in Uganda as well, particularly in off-grid and rural electrification projects. Hydropower, as I say, we have that. Why Uganda? Uganda has significant hydropower potential, especially along the River Nile and its tributaries. So large-scale and small-scale hydropower projects can actually provide consistent energy generation. In terms of future outlook, hydropower will remain a cornerstone of Uganda's energy mix, with continued investment in both large and small hydropower projects. That becomes important. I'm just trying to lay land for you so that I can make it user-friendly. We can use, we can acclimatize, we can adapt, we can co-opt. Wind energy. Why wind energy? Certain regions, as I said, in Uganda, such as the eastern and northern areas, have favorable wind resources. Wind energy can actually complement, other renewable resources, as it were. In terms of future outlook, as wind turbine technology advances, in terms of grid infrastructure, in terms of its improvement, wind energy adoption is likely to grow. It's almost everywhere in Europe right now. You see these wind turbines. The best that Uganda does is read about them in books. How about harnessing them here? Biomass energy. Why? Uganda has a thriving agriculture sector, generating abundant biomass resources. Biomass energy can provide heat, electricity, and cooking solutions. As a future outlook, biomass energy will continue to be available as a resource, especially for cooking and heating in rural areas. Why not harness some of these areas, Mr. President? Think about that. Everybody who has a mandate on the things that I'm talking about should take cognizance of the fact that renewable energy is a requirement, is a necessity, is something that we can enjoy and harness, and we have no idea to admire this nation. We have no idea to phase off our people and take them there. We can use it here. Geothermal energy. Why? Uganda's Western Rift Valley region has geothermal potential. Geothermal power can actually provide base load electricity and reduce greenhouse emissions. As a future outlook, geothermal exploration and technology improvement, geothermal energy may become a more significant part of Uganda's energy mix. Why? Because it can be done. As off-grid and distributed energy resources, Uganda, given its rural population, decentralized energy solutions such as mini-grids and even standalone solar systems will play a vital role in terms of extending energy access. As a future outlook, these off-grid and distributed energy resources will continue to expand and even bring electricity to remote and undeserved areas. All these things, my friends, are possible. In terms of technological advancement, and that's where perhaps we need to put a lot of emphasis, and I agree with His Excellency, when he makes an advocacy for sciences or for advocacy in terms of technology advancement, ongoing advancement in terms of energy technologies, energy storage solutions and grid integration will enhance the effectiveness in terms of efficiency of these sources. As the future outlook, embracing the latest innovations in terms of renewable energy will improve the resiliency and sustainability of Uganda's energy infrastructure. It's extremely important. In terms of grid modernization also, as a question of debate. Why that? Investing in grid modernization will enable better integration in terms of intermittent renewables, ensuring stable and reliable energy supply. As a future outlook, upgraded grid infrastructure will support the growth of renewable energy sources and improve energy access. So again, this is extremely important, not only in terms of practice, but also in terms of schools, in terms of law school. As a lecturer of law, I make an advocacy for teaching environmental laws and also sustainable environmental in terms of law schools. Sustainable practices in terms of environmental protection. Okay, why that? Because renewable energy projects adhere to sustainable and environmental responsible practices become very crucial for long-term success. Okay, when we focus on sustainability and on environmental protection, we will be able to gain what we call an integral future in terms of renewable energy development for our country. In summary, there is no doubt that Uganda's best form of renewable energy will help capitalize on the country's rich and diverse renewable sources, will help leverage in terms of solar, in terms of hydropower, in terms of wind, in terms of biomass, in terms of geothermal, and distributed energy solutions to provide clean, reliable, sustainable energy for all Ugandans while contributing to economic development and environmental conservation. Please take that in mind. Take that in mind. Look at hybrid systems, for example. Combining multiple renewable energy sources such as wind and solar in hybrid systems can also provide for more reliable and consistent energy generations while addressing intermittency challenges. Talk about community engagement, encouraging local communities in terms of active participation in renewable energy projects, including ownership of revenue sharing arrangements, can actually enhance acceptance and even support for these initiatives. Talk about energy storage, advancement in terms of energy storage technologies like battery systems, which will be crucial for storing excess renewable energy for use during periods of low generation, improving grid stability. Think about that. Talk about energy efficiency, promoting energy efficiency measures in terms of industries, in terms of buildings, in terms of transportation can actually reduce what they call overall energy demand, making it easier to meet energy needs with renewable sources. All these things are possible as a country. Talk about public-private partnership, PPPs as they call them. Collaboration efforts between government agencies, the private sector and international organizations can actually help mobilize financing and expertise for renewable energy projects. All these things are possible as a country. And where are we? Angazi, like they used to say when we were in school. Talk about investment in transmission of infrastructure, enhancing transmission, for example, and distribution of infrastructure, to efficient, transport electricity for renewable, sources to urban rural areas is essential for energy access in terms of reliability. I've seen this in Europe, where people are now using trams, and now the buses are now using electricity-driven guides and even hydrogen-powered cars. As I said, green hydrogen production. I was in Amsterdam and I saw buses that are hydrogen-driven, solar panel-driven, exploring this green hydrogen production through electrolysis-powered renewable energy sources can create clean energy, for various sectors, including transportation and industry. All these things are possible. I was sitting in Freiburg on the sides, and I could see solar panel seats where you could actually charge your phones and gadgets. All these are possible. We could do these things. We could do these things. All we need is to have a substantive policy, you know, a hungry energy sector in terms of good brains that can harness this. Talk about decentralized energy solutions, empowering local communities to implement and manage their energy resources, such as microgrids and even small-scale solar installations that can provide energy reliance. I was an engineer who took me to some place, I think it was what, Helbron, one of those areas. And we could see a small hydropower that was serving the entire city, managed by this small town, not even city, a small town, you know, or municipal for that purpose. Talk about international cooperation, where we can have interconnections that can enhance regional, you know, energy security and cooperation. I cannot emphasize research and development, continued investment in research and development activities, focus on renewable energy, materials and system integration, which will drive innovation and cost in terms of reduction. Talk about climate adaptation. Integrating renewable energy strategies into climate adaptation and resiliency can help Uganda address its impact on climate change while reducing emissions. So, my friends, Uganda's commitment in terms of diversifying its energy mix and embracing renewable energy sources will require, obviously, a constant ongoing effort, will require collaboration, will require adaptation to seize full potential of clean and sustainable energy for the country's future development and prosperity. If we ensure and engage in this, let me tell you, we are on our way. To use some minister's word, that the economy is going up. I don't want to use that word used, but remember that popular word. So let us benchmark. Let us be hungry. Let us learn. Let us co-opt. Those of you who are interested in more discussion of this, you can find some of these things at lubogo.org or suigeneris.org.com. We have written books on almost all these areas. We've talked about advanced solar technologies which are emerging, you know, solar technologies such as what they call next generation photovoltaics, or what they call perovites or solar cells, which are more efficient in terms of cost effective than traditional solar panels. Uganda can invest in research and develop advanced and solar technologies to improve efficiency and affordability in terms of solar energy solutions. Okay? We have no excuse. The world is moving at a supersonic speed, and we cannot just be left behind. It's no more a question of debate that I'm not in America or I'm not in Europe. We can co-opt. Talk about floating solar farms, for example. You know, floating solar farms involve installing solar panels on bodies of such as water, or even such as reservoirs, or even lakes or ponds. Why don't we do that? You know, it's within our right. Uganda, with its many lakes and rivers, can explore the adaptation of floating solar farms to maximize land use efficiency and even reduce evaporation in reservoirs. You know, think about that. Why floating? Floating farms can actually provide what they call combined energy generation with water conservation and reduce land use conflicts. Think about that. Those are all very, very important aspects that we can adapt as a country, my friend. Biogas from organic waste, I make an advocacy for that. In terms of its emergency, biogas production from organic waste, including agriculture, and even municipal waste, offers a sustainable, you know, source of clean energy. How many times do we see people throwing garbage everywhere? How about if it waste for that purpose? How about Uganda can promote biogas production at the household and even community levels, converting organic waste into cooking gas and electricity. Biogas utilization addresses waste management issues, by the way. Reducing deforestation for fuel. The president was banning charcoal. How about giving us an option of that? Or, you know, and improves indoor air quality as well. These are alternatives that we can provide for our country, ladies and gentlemen. How about advanced wind turbine designs, as I said, in terms of innovation of wind turbine design, including vertical axis and hybrid systems that can improve energy capture and reduce on the visual impact of wind farms. In terms of adapting, Uganda can explore advanced wind turbines, designs to enhance wind energy generations while addressing concerns about landscape aesthetics. Why is that important? Advanced wind turbines can actually optimize energy production and can make wind energy more socially acceptable in certain regions. It's extremely, extremely, extremely important. In terms of wave and tidal energy, for example, as an emergency area or emerging area for that purpose, wave and tidal energy technologies harness what they call the kinetic energy of ocean waves and tides to generate electricity. In terms of adaptation, Uganda with this proximity, in terms of Lake Victoria, it can invest in potential for wave and tidal energy along its water bodies. Okay? Why is that important? Wave and tidal energy can provide consistent and predictable power, contributing to energy security. Think about that. In terms of thermal energy storage, as an emergency or emerging area, advanced thermal energy storage solutions such as molten salt and even phase change materials enable the storage of excess energy for later use. How about adapting some of these things? Uganda can actually incorporate thermal energy storage systems to ensure stable energy supply when these renewable sources are actually intermittent. Think about that. So why that becomes important is thermal energy storage enhances grid reliability and facilitates greater utilization of intermittent renewables. Think about all those concepts. These things are doable. This is not a story. This is not just a myth. This is serious business. Talk about smart grid, what they call smart grids and demand responses. As an emergency area, smart grid technologies and demand responses strategies can enable better management of electricity distribution and consumption. As adoption procedures, Uganda can use that and can invest in smart grid infrastructure to optimize energy use and even reduce energy wastage. Okay, why smart grids? Smart grids enhance grid resiliency and efficiency while promoting energy conservation. So Uganda, what's wrong? Uganda can adapt these emerging sustainable renewable energy forms to diversify its energy mix. It can improve its energy access. It can address environmental challenges. It can use this by leveraging its natural resources, investing in research and development, and fostering international collaborations. Uganda can transition, towards a more sustainable and resilient energy future while reaping, the economic and environmental benefits of renewable energy adaptation as well. So it's extremely important. It's extremely important. There is no reason why we don't go, for example, green hydrogen production as a way forward. Green hydrogen production is produced through what they call, as I said, electrolysis, using renewable energy sources such as wind or even solar power. Okay? How does Uganda adapt? Uganda can explore green hydrogen production as a clean energy carrier for various sectors, including transportation and industry. These energy things almost cut across every part of our country and affect the entire part of our lives. We cannot avoid them. Green hydrogen can help decarbonize sectors that are difficult to electrify in terms of directly, and can also provide energy storage solutions. Then there's what we call carbon capture and utilization. Some people call it CCU. Yeah? As an emergency or emerging area, CCU technologies capture carbon dioxide emissions and convert them into useful products such as synthetic fuels or building materials. In terms of adaptation, Uganda can invest in CCU research and development to mitigate carbon emissions from various sectors. Okay, so why CCU? CCU can actually contribute to carbon reduction efforts and support the circular economy by recycling carbon dioxide, right? Okay, if we are to argue in terms of micro-biofuel cells as an emergency, micro-biofuel cells generate electricity through what they call the metabolic activity of microorganisms, making them sustainable for wastewater treatment and off-grid power generation. Uganda can adapt that. Uganda can even explore what they call micro-biofuel cells for decentralized wastewater treatment and even renewable energy generations in rural areas. This is technology. This technology will address sanitation and even energy needs simultaneously. These are things that are doable. These are things that are doable for our country. We could also talk about advanced materials and what they call nanotechnology. As an emergency or an emerging area, advanced materials and even nanotechnology can improve the efficiency and the durability of renewable energy technologies. Uganda can adapt this. Uganda can engage in research and develop partnership to incorporate advanced materials into renewable energy infrastructure. Advanced materials can actually enhance the performance of longevity of these renewable energy systems. These things, my friends, are possible. How about things that we call circular economy practices as an emerging area? Okay, circular economy approach involves recycling and reusing materials and components in renewable energy systems, therefore reducing on wastes. All these are possible. How can Uganda co-opt? Uganda can promote circular economy practices within renewable energy sector to minimize environmental impact. Okay? Why is that important? It's extremely important because circular economy practices reduce what they call resource consumption and support sustainability. All these are possible. How about talk about community solar and wind cooperatives? We used to talk about cooperatives, what, for coffee and for cotton. How about community solar and wind cooperatives? As an emerging area, community-owned renewables energy projects allow local communities to collectively invest in and benefit from renewable energy installations. How can Uganda adapt? Uganda can encourage the formation of community energy cooperatives to promote decentralized energy ownership. Why is that important? Community-based projects enhance local engagement and even ensure equitable energy access. Listen, my friends, we have a lot that we can do. How about energy blockchain technology as an emerging area? Blockchain technology can actually enable transparent and secure energy transactions, facilitating what they call peer-to-peer energy trading. How can Uganda adapt this? Uganda can actually explore blockchain applications to support decentralized energy markets in grid management. Now I'm talking about energy in a big and major perspective. So some of you who talk about renewable energies in small areas, you're in trouble, my friends. It's bigger than that. Why energy? Why energy blockchain? It will enhance energy system in terms of transparency and in terms of efficiency, right? How about energy efficient appliances in terms of buildings? Yeah, as an emerging area, energy efficient appliances and building designs can actually reduce energy consumption, increasing the effectiveness of renewable energy systems. Uganda can actually use that. Uganda can promote the use of energy efficient technologies and standards in construction and even appliances. As I said, there's no more difference between Europe and Africa anymore. You could find a good thing as good, even better in Africa, much better than Europe or even America for that purpose. So we need to enhance some of these technologies, okay? They will help in terms of energy efficiency, lowering energy bills, reducing emissions, and support sustainable development. So when we adapt these emerging sustainable renewable energy forms, Uganda can enhance its energy security. It can reduce, as I said, on its greenhouse gas emissions. It can improve on energy access. It can stimulate economic growth while embracing technological advancement that contribute to a sustainable future energy. Yeah? All these different forms of emerging sustainable renewable energies are extremely important. I'm just going to go through a little bit of the few ones that come to mind so that we can be able to knit it up and know that this argument of renewable, sustainable energy is really important. Ocean thermal energy conversion, what they call OTEC, as an emerging area, it uses temperature differences between ocean surfaces and water, and even deep water, to produce electricity. Uganda's proximity to large water bodies, including Lake Victoria, offers a potential for OTEC projects. OTEC can provide consistent and renewable power in terms of temperature gradient in these oceans or water bodies, if you like. Yeah? Talk about advanced energy storage solutions. As an emerging area, ongoing research into advanced energy storage, such as solid state batteries and what they call super capacitors, which promises high energy density and even longer lifespan. Uganda can actually invest in cutting-edge storage technologies to enhance what they call grid reliability and stability. Okay, it becomes very important because advanced energy storage improves the integration of intermittent renewables and even grid resiliency. These are extremely important for our case, my friend. Yeah. In terms of, again, emerging renewables, talk about electric vehicle charging infrastructure, what they call the EV, as an emerging area. The adaptation of electric vehicles is on the rise globally. There's no doubt about that. I was seeing them, I was riding in them, requiring the development of EVs in terms of charging infrastructure. Uganda can actually plan for EV charging networks to support the transition of electric transportation. I see some of the motorbikes here that do that. Yeah, that's a good way to go. We could co-opt that. Yeah, EVs reduce reliance on fossil fuels and can, serve as distributed energy resources. So let's not fight them. Let's co-opt them. How about in terms of hydrogen fuel sector technologies? As an emerging area, hydrogen fuel cell convert hydrogen gas into electricity, offering what they call potential for clean energy generation and transportation. As an adaptation, Uganda can actually explore hydrogen fuel cell applications, particularly for heavy-duty transport and even remote power generation. Think about that. Why that becomes important? Hydrogen fuel cells provide what they call versatile and zero emission energy option. That is extremely important. Okay? How about talking about renewable energy microgrids? I talked about that as an emerging area. Microgrids are powered by renewables, and they can enhance energy reliability in terms of remote and off-grid areas. In terms of adaptation, Uganda can actually deploy renewable energy microgrids to improve energy access in undeserved regions. Listen, my friend, this is a must-go. It's a must-go for our country. Microgrids increase energy resiliency in terms of reducing dependence on centralized grids, as it were. Okay? How about talk about green financing and investment? Yeah? I'm making it very big and important so that the country can benchmark from the things that we're bringing before them. Green financing and investment as an emerging area. Green financing mechanisms such as green bonds and impact investment are gaining, traction to fund renewable energy projects. As a country, Uganda can tap into green financing to attract investment for renewable energy development. Green financing aligns capital with sustainability goals and accelerates projects in terms of implementation. Yeah, that's extremely important. How about carbon farming and agroforestry as an emerging area? Carbon farming practices, sinker carbons in soils and vegetation, offering carbon credits and sustainable land use. As a country, Uganda can promote carbon farming and agroforestry to reduce emissions and even enhance soil health. That's extremely important. Why is that important? Because carbon farming supports climate resiliency and provides additional income for farmers. Not so. So that's extremely important. How about energy data and analytics in terms of AI? As an emerging area, data analytics and artificial intelligence can actually optimize energy generation in terms of distribution and also in terms of consumption. In terms of adaptation, Uganda can leverage data analytics and AI to improve energy efficiency and grid management. There is no way we can dodge these things, my friends. Your Excellency, if you're listening, there is no way we can dodge these things. We need smart, data-driven solutions to enhance energy system performance. When we adapt and co-opt and benchmark from these emerging sustainable renewable energy forms as a technology, will enable our country to address energy challenges, will enable our country to promote economic development. Europe is in a mess just because of a war between Russia and Ukraine, yeah? Because they depend on Russia for oil or for gas and stuff like that. And now they are co-opting, they are adapting these things, they're thinking about these things. But we are naturally blessed by them, and we're simply, doing what? Watching, yeah? It's extremely important. It's extremely important. We can co-opt these things. As I say, there's no more difference between Uganda and US anymore. It's just a question of location, but we can co-opt these things. We can talk about flexible organ electronics, for example, as an emerging area. Flexible organic electronics can actually be integrated into various surfaces, such as clothing and building materials, to generate electricity from movement or light. Think about that. Uganda can explore the use of flexible organic electronics in wearable energy devices and building integrated renewables. These things are possible. They are possible. This technology offers versatile and decentralized energy generation options. Yeah? These things are possible. How about energy positive buildings? Yeah? Energy positive buildings produce more energy than they consume through advanced energy efficient designs and integrated renewable systems. Talk about your engineers and architects that you have them. How about taking them through some of these lessons? Yeah? Uganda can incentivize the construction of energy positive buildings to reduce the energy demand on the grid. Uganda, energy positive buildings reduce energy bills and contribute to surplus energy on the grid. How about natural fiber composites, for example, as an emerging area? Natural fiber composites, often made from agricultural waste, can replace what they call conventional materials in wind turbines, or what they call wind turbine blades and other structures. As a country, Uganda can actually explore the use of natural fiber composites to reduce material costs and even environmental impact. This becomes important because these components are lightweight, they're sustainable, and they're even cost effective. Yeah? How about talking about what they call desalination, what they call powered by renewables, as an emerging area? Desalination, this renewable energy can actually power what they call desalination plants to provide clean drinking water, especially in regions with water scarcity. And how many of our people have water? And how many of our people don't have access to water? Uganda can consider coupling these renewables with destination to address water and energy challenges. This approach supports both water and energy security. Listen, my friends. More importantly, Your Excellency, if you're listening, community-owned energy cooperatives, I talked about that. We used to talk about corporate community, whatever, coffee marketing board and the likes. We're talking about community-owned energy cooperatives as an emerging area. Community-owned energy cooperatives enable local communities to collectively invest in, own, and operate renewable energy projects. Uganda can encourage the formation of such cooperatives to empower communities and distribute benefits. Yeah? In terms of community ownership, to foster local support and economic resiliency. Yes? How about sustainable urban planning? You know where I'm going now, Mr. President. I'm probably going in terms of smart cities, not so. Talk about smart cities. You mentioned what? Kigali and Nairobi. How about Kampala? Sustainable urban planning. Sustainable urban planning principles prioritize energy efficient buildings, integrating in terms of public transport and green spaces. Uganda can implement sustainable urban planning to reduce energy demands and emissions in terms of growing cities. Sustainable cities will improve living conditions and reduce environmental impacts. Yeah? In terms of even this position of our garbage, I was flying into Africa when I was in Kigali. The first thing they said, everyone who's going out, leave any polythene bag inside. Think about that. In Uganda, it was the other way around. Renewable energy diplomacy is another aspect. Countries can collaborate on cross-border renewable energy projects and energy trade agreements. Uganda can engage in renewable energy diplomacy to strengthen regional energy security and cooperation. Regional cooperation will optimize resource utilization and even enhance energy resilience. Not so. So these emerging sustainable renewable energy forms and concepts can contribute to Uganda's sustainable energy transition. Not so. It will help drive our economic growth and address environmental challenges. So when we explore and adapt these innovations, Uganda can position itself as a leader in sustainable energy development in the region and beyond. Listen, that's extremely important. I just don't know how many times I have to say this on and on. I want to be a drum major in being one of the contributors of changing our nation. I'll be like that gentleman who said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Talk about green building materials as an emerging area. Green building materials such as eco-friendly insulation and sustainable construction materials can reduce the environmental footprint of buildings. Think about that. Green building materials, just as a way forward. How Uganda can promote the use of these green building materials in construction to create energy efficient and sustainable structures. Yeah? Green building materials will improve energy efficiency and reduce on what they call resource consumption. I hope people will take time to listen to this information, in spite of the fact that it's long but very relevant. Energy from vibrations and motion. That's an emerging area. Energy from vibration and motion. Technologies that capture energy from vibrations and talk about footsteps and motion can generate electricity in high traffic areas. Talk about the traffics in this country. Yeah? Too much traffic everywhere. How about harnessing that energy? Uganda can explore these solutions in urban centers and public spaces to harvest the energy from everyday activities. Why don't we be the first people to do that? Motion-based energy generation provides a supplementary power source. Think about that. Yeah? How about renewable energy, what they call crowdfunding as an emerging area? Crowdfunding platforms for renewable energy projects allow individuals to invest and support clean energy initiatives. Okay? So Uganda can actually leverage crowdfunding to raise capital from community-based renewable projects. Think about that. Crowdfunding projects, promotes decentralized ownership of renewable energy assets. Not so. How about electric bikes and transportation in terms of electrification? It's an emerging area. They are happening. They are everywhere. Yeah, I know we have e-bikes here, a little bit of them, and even electric public transportation. As I told you, in Germany, it's now the case. Now they're even making special roads for them. They're almost everywhere now. Transportation options can reduce emissions in urban cities. Uganda can invest in e-bike infrastructure and even electrified public transit system. Talk about our railway stations here. E-bikes and railway stations and electrified transport will improve the air quality and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Yes? How about circular supply chains for renewable technologies as an emerging area? Circular supply chains prioritize recycling and repurposing materials in renewable energy technology as far as manufacturing is concerned. As an adoption, Uganda can actually promote circular supply chain technology to reduce waste and resource consumption. Okay, why is that important? Circular supply chains will minimize environmental impact and resource depletion. Yeah? Listen, blockchain-based energy trading. I'll say that again. Blockchain energy trading as an emerging area. Blockchain platforms enable peer-to-peer energy trading. I told you that, allowing households and businesses to buy and sell renewable energy. How that? Uganda can explore blockchain solutions to empower energy consumers and support decentralized energy markets. Not so. So this blockchain increases energy system transparency and even efficiency. That's extremely important, my friend. Energy. How about energy efficient transportation infrastructure as an emerging area? Energy efficient transportation infrastructure includes electric vehicles, charging stations, for example, like bike lanes, and even pedestrian friendly urban planning. These are the things I've been talking about. These are the things that I'm begging you to listen and to co-op. In terms of adaptation, Uganda can invest in sustainable transport infrastructure to reduce energy consumption and in terms of our transportation sector. Okay? It is important in terms of sustainable transportation to reduce emissions and congestion. Not so. How about issues to do with renewable energy education and training centers? Think about that. Yeah? As an emerging area, we are supposed to be dedicated education and training centers and actually provide instruction on renewable energy technology in terms of installation and also in terms of maintenance. Yeah? Uganda can actually establish such centers to build skilled renewable energy workforces, skilled work support in terms of renewable energy sector growth. Yes? Let's talk about things to do with remote sensing and GIS for renewable resource assessment. Remote sensing and GIS in terms of renewable resource assessment. Remote sensing and geographic information systems can actually enhance resource assessment for renewable energy projects. As a country, Uganda can utilize these technologies for accurate resource mapping and even project planning. Accurate data supports efficient projects in terms of development. Not so. We've got experts here. At least I know someone who has a PhD in that area. Yeah? Dr. Albert Mogeni has a PhD in that area, so we can co-opt from some of these individuals. How about hybrid renewable energy systems as an emerging area? Combining multiple renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydro, as I said, in hybrid system will provide a stable and continuous power generation. Uganda can deploy hybrid renewable energy system to optimize resource utilization. Hybrid systems will enhance energy reliability in terms and also enhance what they call grid stability. These are emerging sustainable renewable energy forms, and we need to have a strategy that can help us innovate better ways, perhaps, or even co-op to contribute to our economic development and environmental sustainability as a country. So we can co-op, we can embrace this, my friends. Uganda can enhance its energy resiliency and reduce its carbon footprint. Yes. So, I mean, when you're talking about sustainable energy, sustainable renewable energy, I don't know, but it's extremely important. It's extremely important. Piezoelectric energy harvesting itself. Piezoelectric materials can generate electricity when subjected to mechanical stress such as vibrations and pressure. We can co-opt that. Uganda can explore piezoelectric applications infrastructure. Okay? And transportation to capture energy from everyday activities. How many times do we see people walking, even others walking to work? How about taking advantage of that? Yeah? Piezoelectric energy harvesting can actually supplement power generation from renewables. Not so. Talk about energy Internet of Things. Yeah? As an emerging energy Internet of Things. The energy Internet of Things involves interconnected devices and sensors that optimize energy use in real time. Think about that. Uganda can implement energy Internet of Things solutions to enhance energy efficiency and grid management. Why that becomes important? Energy Internet of Things improves data-driven decisions in terms of making and also reduces on energy wastage. Yeah? Green hydrogen and production from biomass, as I told you, as an emerging area. Green hydrogen can actually be produced from biomass through a process called biomass gasification. Yeah? So Uganda can explore biomass to hydrogen technologies as a renewable energy carrier. Simple things. Doable. Green hydrogen from biomass is carbon neutral and can actually be used in various sectors. Yeah? How about taking advantage of that? How about renewable energy-backed digital currency? Think about that. Renewable energy-backed digital currency as an emerging area. Some digital currencies are now backed by renewable energy production to incentivize clean energy investment. Think about that. Some digital currencies are now backed by renewable energy production to incentivize clean energy investment. Uganda can actually consider using renewable energy-backed digital currencies to promote green energy investment. This approach aligns in economic incentives with sustainability goals, my friends. Yeah, it's extremely important. It's extremely important. How about what they call algae-based biofuels? Algae-based biofuels, as an emerging area, algae can actually be cultivated to produce biofuels that can replace conventional fossil fuels. Uganda can explore algae-based biofuels production as a sustainable alternative for transportation. Algae biofuels are renewable and can actually reduce greenhouse emissions. Yeah? Extremely important. How about solar or wind forecasting technologies? Not so. Advanced forecasting tools use AI and even what they call meteorological data to predict wind and solar energy generations. Yeah? Uganda can implement accurate forecasting technologies to improve grid stability. Not so. In terms of precise forecasting, in terms of enhancing energy management, in terms of reducing reliance on backup power sources. Not so. There was a chivalry that backfired because someone couldn't forecast what was going to happen. If we had this technology, we wouldn't be using it. Yeah? In many, many other areas, by the way. How about sustainable aviation fuels as an emerging area? Sustainable aviation fuels, what they call SAFs, are derived from renewable sources and can replace traditional aviation fuels. Maybe to reduce the cost in terms of those flights. Not so. Uganda can promote the use of SFS, to reduce emissions from air travel. SFS will contribute to the aviation industry's efforts to reduce its carbon footprint. Not so. How about renewable energy microfinance programs? As an emerging area, microfinance initiatives can actually provide affordable loans through individuals and businesses for renewable energy adoption. There you go, banks, I'm giving you ideas. Yeah? Microfinance initiatives can provide affordable loans through individuals and businesses to provide for what they call renewable energy adoption. Uganda can establish microfinance programs to promote small-scale renewable energy projects. Yeah? Why? Microfinance increases access to clean energy solutions. These are all viable and possible things. How about resiliency hubs with renewable energy? As an emerging area, resiliency hubs equipped with renewable energy systems provide for critical services during these disasters. Not so. And how many times do we have disasters in our country? How many? You can tell me. Without mentioning the water slides and landslides and stuff like that. Yeah? Uganda can develop resiliency hubs in vulnerable areas to ensure access to power during these emergencies. Resilience hubs enhance disaster preparedness and responses. These, my friends, are extremely important. If there's an area to go, Mr. President, this is the area to go. How about natural resource monetization? As an emerging area, monetizing natural resources such as carbon sequestration in forests can provide revenue for conservation and renewable energy projects. Uganda can actually explore ways to monetize its natural resources to fund sustainability initiatives. Resource monetization will support conservation and renewable energy tools. My friends, these are emerging sustainable renewable energy forms and concepts that will offer innovative solutions to meet Uganda's energy needs while promoting environmental sustainability and economic growth. When we embrace these approaches, we shall help our country to accelerate its transition to a more sustainable and resilient energy future. It's extremely important. It's extremely important. I just cannot stop going on and on in terms of explaining how important it is. Thermoelectric generators as an emerging area. Thermoelectric generators convert these heat differentials into electricity, making them suitable for waste heat recovery. Not so. So Uganda can actually explore thermoelectric generators in industrial processes to improve energy efficiency. Not so. The technology reduces energy waste and even lowers production costs. Think about that. Think about that. Extremely important. How about energy harvesting from roads and pavements? I just told you what was happening in Germany. I think it was in Freiburg. You know, energy harvesting from roads and pavements as an emerging area, what they call piezoelectric materials embedded in roads and pavements, can convert the pressure from vehicles into electricity. Yeah? Uganda can consider this technology for energy generation from transportation in terms of infrastructure. Yeah? This road-based energy harvesting can actually supplement our grid power. These are novel, doable areas, Your Excellency. Yeah? How about energy recovery from data centers as an emerging area? Data centers generate substantial heat, which can actually be harnessed for heating purposes or even electricity generation. Not so. So, Uganda can actually utilize data center waste heat from nearby communities or even industrial processes. So this approach enhances energy efficiency and reduces operational costs. Not so. Extremely important. Yeah? How about solar water distillation as an emerging area? Solar-driven distillation. Yeah? Some people pronounce this as desalination. Yeah? As a technology. It can provide fresh water in arid regions, not so, while producing electricity. Uganda can explore solar desalination of water and even energy security in water-scarce areas. Not so. Water desalination addresses both water and energy challenges. Find all these things at Suigeneris Law App. We have a lot of information to share with this country. We are a little bit like what? Like the gentleman, Steve Jobs, who said, I have so much, but the world is not ready. We have so much at Suigeneris, but the world is not ready. Uganda is not ready. Geothermal heat pumps as another way. Geothermal heat pumps use stable temperatures for the Earth's surface for heating and cooling buildings. Uganda can promote geothermal heat, adaptation in terms of energy efficient buildings. Geothermal heat pumps reduce heating and cooling in terms of costs. Yeah? Renewable energy tourism. Think about that. Renewable energy tourism as an emerging area. Renewable energy tourism involves showcasing renewable energy projects as tourist attraction. I was telling you that I took a trip to Europe and I was touring some of these projects. Uganda can develop renewable energy tourism sites to raise awareness and even promote clean energy. Yeah? If you can come to see apes and gorillas, how about those areas that we can also co-opt and adapt? Yeah? If you can come to see source of the Nile, how about co-opting some of these areas? Renewable energy tourism supports education and even local economies. Not so. How about biofuel solar design? What they call biofuel solar designs as an emerging area. These biophilic solar designs combine solar panels with greenery, promoting biodiversity and even shading. So Uganda can actually incorporate biophilic solar designs in urban planning and even infrastructure. This approach enhances urban aesthetics and even biodiversity. Not so. So all these are important, very, very important, my friends. How about renewable energy export? Think about that, an emerging area. Countries with surplus renewable energy can actually export clean electricity to neighboring countries. I was telling you I was in Europe, and there's a house, my friend's house in Guinea, where they co-opted solar panels, and because of too much of it, they could actually export some of it back to the so-called women of those guys. So Uganda can explore renewable energy export to enhance regional cooperation and revenue generation. So exporting clean energy fosters economic benefits and even regional stability. I know we do that in hydro, but we could do that in other areas as well. Let's take advantage of technology. How about renewable energy for food processing as an emerging area? Renewable energy can actually power food processing facilities, reducing on carbon emissions in agriculture sector. Uganda can actually prioritize renewable energy adaptation in food processing industries. Not so. Clean energy reduces the environmental impact on food production. These, my friends, are extremely important. Yeah? How about renewable energy for healthcare facilities? Let's just argue that for the sake. As an emerging area, providing healthcare facilities with renewable energy ensures reliable power for critical medical equipment. How can I say that again? Critical medical equipment. Uganda can invest in renewable energy solutions for healthcare institutions. Okay? Reliable energy access improves healthcare as an outcome. How many loved ones have we lost because power has gone off? How many? You can tell. So these emerging sustainable renewable energy forms and strategies offer Uganda opportunity to address our energy concerns, our environmental concerns, our economic challenge as well, contributing to sustainable development and resilience. When we embrace this innovation, my friends, Uganda will help achieve its renewable energy and sustainability goal, my friend. Yeah? This is extremely important. If there's a cause that the country could take up, this is a major cause. We need to harness what they call energy positive agriculture. We claim that we rely on agriculture as a nation. Energy positive agriculture as an emerging area, sustainable farming practices that integrate renewable energy technologies such as solar panel irrigation, as I told you, and biogas from agricultural waste. Agriculture can promote, our country can actually promote energy positive agriculture to increase farm productivity while generating clean energy. Not so. This approach will enhance food security and even reduce on emissions, as I told you. Yes? How about what they call renewable energy certificates? What some people call them RECs. Yeah? As an emerging area, RECs are tradable certificates that represent the environmental, attributes of renewable energy generation. Think about that. As an adoption, Uganda can implement these REC programs to incentivize and track renewable energy production. Yeah? RECs will help provide what they call a transparent way to support renewable energy development. Yeah? How about regenerative agriculture and energy? I'm now concentrating on agriculture because we say we are agriculture. By what? By ordination. Regenerative agriculture practices focus on soil health, which can also, sequester carbon and even improve renewable energy system stability. Uganda can actually promote regenerative agriculture as part of a holistic approach to sustainability. Not so. So regenerative agriculture will enhance our soil fertility and even support renewable energy integration. Not so. How about renewable energy-based climate adaptation strategies? These things are extremely important, and I think every time I mention, someone's mind is like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. As an emerging area, renewable energy technologies can actually power climate adaptation solutions, such as resilient infrastructure and even early warning systems. Not so. Uganda can use renewables to enhance climate resilience and even reduce vulnerability to extreme weather events. Talk about force majeure. So we can be able to capture them. Renewable energy supports long-term climate adaptation goals, Your Excellency. Think about that. These are areas that are attainable. Let's have people who are hungry to help this nation. Let's have people who want to offer their services to improve on the well-being of their brothers and sisters. How about renewable energy for water treatment and sanitation? Renewable energy can actually power water treatment and sanitation systems in terms of ensuring clean water access. Not so. Ugandan can use renewables to improve water quality and availability in unserved areas. Way back where I come in Gaudumiri, how about Anahanis in some of these areas? Clean water and sanitation are essential for public health. Not so. So that we can protect our people, so they don't die of cholera and the likes. Not so. And dysentery and different kinds of diseases. How about renewable energy-based entrepreneurship as an emerging area? Entrepreneurial opportunities in renewable energy, such as small-scale solar installation and maintenance businesses. Very, I know we have a little bit of that, but how about if we keep them, organize them? Not so. Uganda can foster renewable energy entrepreneurship through creation of jobs and even stimulate economic growth. Renewable energy entrepreneurship supports local economies. Yeah? How about things to do with carbon pricing and carbon markets as an emerging area? Carbon pricing in terms of mechanism and carbon markets put a price on carbon emissions. So incentivizing emission reductions, not so. How can Uganda co-opt that? Uganda can actually explore carbon pricing to encourage emission reductions and also fund renewable energy projects. Yeah? Rwanda has done it. Uganda tried it and collapsed. Carbon pricing aligns economic incentives with climate goals. These are very, very important things, Mr. President. How about cradle-to-cradle renewable energy in terms of infrastructure? Yeah? An emerging area. Designing renewable energy infrastructure with a focus on recyclability and reusability. Yeah? Those are things Uganda can actually prioritize cradle-to-cradle principles in renewable energy development. Because sustainable infrastructure minimizes waste and resource consumption. Yeah? These are extremely important issues for our country. How about renewable energy in cultural heritage? You know, in terms of preservation, for example. Yes, as an emerging area. When you use renewable energy solutions to power and protect cultural heritage sites, Uganda can actually apply renewables for site preservation and even sustainable tourism. Yeah? Renewable energy will support cultural preservation efforts. Your Excellency. Listen, this, my friend, is important. If there is a minister of whatever, if there is a permanent secretary, if there is anyone who loves this country dearly, listen to these words of wisdom. Human-powered energy solution. Innovative human-powered devices that generate electricity from human activities, I told you, such as handcraft generators. Think about it. Uganda can explore human-powered energy solutions for remote and off-grid areas. Human-powered energy can enhance energy access in resource and constrained regions. Think about it. I don't know how best I can be a drum major in this, but I'm saying these emerging sustainable renewable energy forms and concepts provide Uganda with a diverse range of opportunities to address energy and sustainability in terms of challenges while promoting economic development and resilience. When we embrace these innovations, Your Excellency, we can contribute to Uganda's progress towards the more sustainable energy future. Yeah? It's extremely, extremely important. This has been quite a long talk, but it's extremely important because I want this to sink in our hearts. This is the future. I read your quote. You neglect this, we destroy ourselves. Energy efficiency standards and even labeling. As a question of importance, implementing energy efficient standards and labeling programs for appliances, for example, and equipment helps to reduce energy consumption and even lower utility bills and even decrease emissions. Think about that. So Uganda can actually develop and enforce energy efficiency regulations to promote the use of energy efficient appliances and systems. Do I have to say that again? Really? Decentralized renewable energy for rural electrification. Think about that. As a question of importance, extending electricity access to remote rural areas is vital for socio-economic development. Decentralized renewable energy solutions, such as mini grids and even standalone solar systems that can play a crucial role. Do I even have to say that again? Uganda can prioritize rural electrification projects using decentralized renewable energy sources to improve livelihoods and even education. Yeah? The last time we had COVID, we wanted to give TVs to everyone, almost every village. How successful was that? Even in Kampala, barely would it be successful. Electricity is there for what, 2-3 hours? Or for 5 hours? Thank God it's improving. But these are things I'm talking about. How about environment impact assessment? Conducting thorough, I'm talking about thorough. We have EAIs, but I'm talking about thorough before renewable energy projects implementation ensures so that environmental concerns and potential impacts are accurately identified and addressed. Uganda can have a substantive mandate in terms of a comprehensive EIA for renewable energy projects to minimize harm for ecosystems and even local communities. Yeah? Talk about cross-sector integration. Yeah? As an integrating renewable energy planning with other sectors like transportation, agriculture, water management can lead to a more sustainable Suigeneris solution. Uganda can develop integrated policies that consider interplay between energy and even various sectors on a holistic level. Yeah? I cannot overemphasize energy access to healthcare. How many have we lost because of that? Ensuring reliable electricity in terms of healthcare, in terms of delivering quality, especially in rural areas, not only in cities, but in rural areas. Why don't we prioritize renewable energy solutions to healthcare centers to enhance healthcare delivery in the rural areas? Even mere harnessing solar on almost every sub-county, How about energy access to education for all? Reliable electricity access to schools, Your Excellency, education institutions, supporting learning research and digital literacy. Can't Uganda deploy these renewable energy solutions to schools to improve education outcomes and future workforce skills? Honestly, with this immense sun that we have here, what do we need? What do we need? If we can buy t-shirts, during campaigns for almost the entire country, how about sustainable energy, whatever, for a country? Renewable energy for disaster preparedness as a question. equipping disaster-prone areas with renewable energy sources, ensuring continuity, essential services during these emergencies. Uganda can establish reliable, renewable energy-based disaster routines on these vulnerable regions. How about energy transition roadmaps? Developing clear energy transition roadmaps in terms of long-term strategies that can provide policy, investment, and infrastructure development. Not so. Uganda can create and implement a comprehensive energy transition plan to achieve its renewable energy goals. It's extremely important. Renewable energy research and innovation, the thing that I'm drumming over. Renewable energy research and innovation. I think it was, who was that? Archimedes, who said, give me the right prop and the right lever and I'll single-handedly change the world. Your Excellency, we are here. Give us the right prop and the right lever and we shall change this country for you. Uganda can support research institutions and collaborate with international partners to advance renewable energy technologies. Yes, I'm saying that as a serious challenge. How about renewable energy skills development? Building skilled workforce in terms of renewable energy installation, maintaining, and even managing. It becomes crucial for long-term sustainability. Uganda can invest in renewable energy training programs and even vocational, listen to the word, vocational education to develop a qualified workforce. We get so excited about law, yes, but how about vocational institutions that help people to work? That's the way to go. These considerations are essential for Uganda's journey towards sustainable energy future. By addressing these important aspects, Uganda can achieve its renewable energy goals, reduce environmental impact, and even enhance a well-being of all its citizens. You do that, Your Excellency, you do that, my friends, you do that, honorable ministers, you do that, honorable members of parliament, you have no one to blame you anymore. That is my challenge to you. Do that. Give me the right prop, and I'll single-handedly change the world. God bless you. My name is Isaac Christopher Lubogo from Suigeneris. Find our books at lubogo.org and suigeneris.app.com. God bless.